why are you doing this? Why are you taking the risk? Why are you being courageous? Why are you getting up so early? What's the point? This is uncomfortable. Why can't you just stay in bed? Why do you gotta take this challenge on? Why can't you just stay home? Why can't you do something else? Why can't you watch TV? That voice is you. Who else is it? Of course it's you. There's nothing better in this sport than bringing your opponent to the deep ocean. Let them know what they're about, and let them tap. Khabib. He's an MMA fighter, for those who don't know. A very, 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 very good one. And that kind of quote just scares the hell out of anyone who would even think about fighting him. But what an interesting idea. This idea that as a fighter, you bring someone somewhere very deep and they discover who they are. And in this context, that very scary context, he's talking about bringing someone into such deep waters that they realize that they're a coward. And then they tap. That they're not as good as they thought they were. That they are realizing exactly who they are. And it's somewhat of a pessimistic outlook on people, but if you really think about who people are, it's not about how you are when things are going well. It's how you are when the flood's coming, when shit's really hitting the fan. That's what matters. By who they are, not when the sun is shining, but when it's raining. And a great example of that is how you deal with situations that are just incredibly challenging. Because here's the thing, as tough as we like to think we are, as strong as we like to think we are, what happens almost immediately once you start to hit a little bit of resistance? Your weaker self starts to talk to you. Like when you don't want to go to the gym and that weaker voice says, you don't need to go. It's okay. You don't have to be strong. You don't have to go. You can just sit on the couch. And then your stronger self has to say, no, shut the H up. I'm going to the gym. I'm going to work out. It's like you have two sides in your head. You have the side that wants the best for you. And then you have the side that wants the best for you right now. And those are not the same things. If you want the best for you, you will exercise. If you want the best thing for you right now, well, it's probably going to be something comfortable. Lying on the couch and watching TV. Or just simply lying in the grass. It certainly won't be anything hard. And this idea is really attractive to me. It just, this notion that we really find out who we are when we go through challenges. And that's not to say that necessarily that whether or not you were able to overcome that challenge, that means you're a good person or a bad person. But just knowing that dark, pathetic, weak side of you, just knowing that, just meeting that person, whether you ignore them or not, just meeting that person inside of you that's weak, that seems to be so important for ego, for managing your ego, for staying humble. Because I can tell you, we all have lots of motivation when things are going well. But then something happens. Maybe you're in a relationship that's going really well. You're in the honeymoon phase. And if you are, enjoy it. But I can guarantee you that there's going to come a time where things are going to get a little rough. They're going to get a little bumpy. The relationship might be on the rocks, as they used to say. And then you get to meet your weaker self. You get to shake hands with your weaker self, because your weaker self is going to say, I'll just leave. Go to another relationship. Why would you deal with any struggle whatsoever? Just get out. Just go. The honeymoon phase is over. Just go. In the same way that when you're going for a max back squat in the gym, you're going to meet your weaker self. He's going to come out. He's going to say, hey, why the hell are you doing this? You don't need to be doing this. You could be squatting 25% of this weight. You don't need to be maxing out. What are you doing? What if you hurt your knees? What if this happens? What if that happens? And so it's only really when we're challenged that we even get the opportunity to meet our weaker self. And I mentioned how that plays in with humility, because you can imagine if you never do anything challenging, if you never challenge yourself, never do anything hard, why would that weaker self come out? Why would it come into your consciousness? It won't, because you're not challenging yourself. In your head, you're fine. In your head, you're this perfect person. And so part of doing things daily that are difficult is simply the fact that you get to meet the wretched parts of you. How many times have I talked about ice baths? Well, I'm about to do it again, because I'm still doing it, by the way. It's been well over a year. It's been about a year and a half. And nothing's changed. I mean, every morning I get up and look at that damn cold water and I think, well, why the hell am I doing this? Nobody else is doing this. Why am I getting up at 6 and submerging myself in freezing water for 3 minutes? What? Why? And so, I mean this literally, every morning I get the opportunity to meet my weaker self, because I start the morning with something difficult. In the same way, at work, if you go to a challenging job, you also get the opportunity to meet your weaker self. Look them in the eye, shake their hand. And what that means is that I know who I am. Hey there. Let me thank you for being a listener to this ad-free podcast. If you enjoy the podcast, there are a few things you can do to help me out. A 5-star review on Spotify or wherever you're listening to this really does help, and it's free. You can also sign up for my Substack newsletter or Patreon. Substack free gets each episode emailed to you along with the transcripts in the form of an article. You'll also get access to my live talks, followed by a Q&A afterward. Substack Premium supporters and my patrons on Patreon get access to the recordings and a brief article of those Q&A sessions, access to full episodes of the Paradoxically Speaking podcast, my Steps to Success interview series, Stoic meditations, and much more. Links to Substack and Patreon can be found in the show notes. If you do hard things, even if you attempt hard things, there's no hiding from the truth. You know who you are. And the truth is, this is going to be a real shocker. It might not be what you think I'm going to say. The truth is that you're not courageous, and you're also not a coward. Necessarily. You see, there's two people inside of you, because every morning I get to meet the weakest part of me. And every morning I get the opportunity to meet the strongest part of me. And so whether or not you're going to meet your wretchedness in difficulty, man, that's for certain. There's no question. If you have an ego problem, if you think you're so pure, you're so good, go do something difficult and pay attention, because you're going to hear yourself, you're going to see yourself squirm a little bit. And then comes the opportunity, because one cannot be strong, one cannot be courageous without the opportunity to be strong, without the opportunity to be courageous. And the only way you can be strong and courageous is to shake hands with that weak, cowardice part of you and overcome it. That's the only way. So you become, quote, quote, strong by overcoming your weak part. And your weak part reveals itself through challenge. And so this morning, I met my weaker self. And I met my stronger self, because this morning I prevailed. It's not always that way. Sometimes I stand in front of the water and I stare at it for 5 minutes. And I realize who I am again. There's a coward in me. And there's also a courageous person inside of me. And it really makes you reconsider how you think about yourself and how you think about other people, because there's really no such thing as being a courageous person. There's really no such thing as being a coward. Like, not really. Like, all there really is the present moment. So you get the opportunity to act appropriately. You get the opportunity to be strong or to be weak at every present moment. And then that's it. You can look back in the past and you can say, I was a coward at that point in time in that decision. But you could also probably look back and say, I was courageous at that point in time. And in that particular, whatever happened in my life at that time, I was courageous. You can say that too. And it really gets back to something that I try my best to remind myself and others of all the time, is that there's no such thing as being strong. There's only being strong in this moment. And it's fleeting. It's gone. Because the moment that moment passes on to the next, you have another opportunity. Am I going to be strong or am I going to be weak? Now, at the very least, you're aware of the ways that could go. You're aware that it's not that I'm a strong person. Because if I was a strong person, that voice saying, why are you doing this? Why are you taking the risk? Why are you being courageous? Why are you getting up so early? What's the point? This is uncomfortable. Why can't you just stay in bed? Why do you got to take this challenge on? Why can't you just stay home? Why can't you do something else? Why can't you watch TV? That voice is you. Who else is it? Of course it's you. That wretched, weak voice is you, but the voice that replies and says, I'm going to go anyway. I'm going to do this thing anyway. I'm going to meet this challenge anyway. I am going to hold my chin up. I'm going to put my shoulders down and back. I am going to stand tall. I am going to face this challenge. I am going to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. The voice that responds to that is also you. So ultimately, are we all wretched? Of course. It's what the Christians tell us all the time. We're wretched. But do we have the potential to be great? Do we have the potential to be something more? Well, man, that's your soul, that's your spirit, that's the ability, your ability as a human being to rise above the challenges of life, to rise above the suffering of life and become something more. Not permanently, but in this moment. You can't become strong, but you can be strong right now. And you can make a plan and try your best to be strong tomorrow and the next day and the next day. So the last point I'll end on here is that as much as we would love to have an end point to this game we call life, it doesn't really end. There's no final destination. There's no, oh, well, I've been to the gym 1,000 times in my life, so then I can stop now. There's no, I'm done with challenging myself at work. There's no, I'm just done doing anything uncomfortable. Like, that doesn't exist. Because the moment you decide that is the moment you become something that is not strong. So yes, lean into it. Lean into the discomfort. Because whether you like it or not, that's how you stay humble. That's how you meet your weak self. And that's how you potentially meet your strong self.